The NFL landscape is shifting beneath our feet, and some of the most aggressive front offices in the league are making moves that could either cement their dynasty or trigger a total collapse. We need to talk about the brutal reality of roster management, the high-stakes gamble on emerging defensive stars, and why certain organizations are playing it cool while others seem to be losing their grip. But before we dive in, smash that subscribe button if you want the fastest NFL updates on the planet. The defensive gamble, there is an absolute masterclass unfolding in how teams are evaluating their defensive front. We are seeing a complete overhaul in philosophy. Take the recent developments in Philadelphia, for example. The front office, there is demonstrating a level of patience that borders on insanity, especially when you look at the contractual status of their interior defensive line. It is a high-risk game of chicken. When you look at the current market, the standard has been set. We saw contracts explode recently, resetting the value for defensive tackles to astronomical heights. Yet, one of the most talented young disruptors in the game, a guy who was once projected to be a cornerstone of a decade-long defense, is still waiting for his payday. Why? The hesitancy is palpable. There's a genuine divide in the building regarding whether this player is a must-pay asset or a prove-it project. Some analysts argue that the decline in sack production and the lingering injury concerns are legitimate reasons for the front office to withhold the bag. Others scream that you cannot let elite talent walk. Who is actually right in this valuation standoff? Drop a name in the comments. Do you pay the star early, or do you make him earn every single penny through another season of dominance? But wait, because the tension doesn't stop at the contract table. It's spilling over into the practice field where depth charts are being rewritten in real time. The rise and fall of prospects, it is a brutal business. We saw a young defensive prospect hyped up just a year ago as an NFL-ready plug-and-play starter. The narrative was perfect, an experienced college player who would bolster the rotation immediately. Fast forward to the most recent mandatory minicamps, and the reality is a disaster. This player, who is supposed to be a rotational lock, is now taking reps with the third team. In some cases, he is being outworked by absolute unknowns, guys who in some instances have barely any professional experience under their belts. When you're a second-year player and you're getting passed over by developmental projects, the writing is on the wall. It is an indictment of the scouting department's initial projection, and it raises a massive red flag about the future of the team's defensive depth. The contrast between this struggle and the performance of other high draft picks is stark. While some players are cementing their status as untouchable, others are fighting just to stay on the active roster. The quarterback narrative lets pivot to the most scrutinized position in all of sports, the quarterback. There is a recurring, tired take that keeps circulating among national pundits. The idea that certain franchise quarterbacks are only successful because the organization around them is too good. It is a lazy argument designed to generate engagement, but it ignores the reality of the game. When you look at the top tier of signal callers, they are force multipliers. They make the roster better, not just the other way around. Yet we are still seeing criticism directed at stars who have consistently led their teams to the playoffs, completed high-percentage passes, and thrived under extreme pressure. Consider the statistics. In a previous season, even when faced with significant personnel changes, we saw a quarterback complete nearly 3/4 of his passes and deliver multi-touchdown performances with consistency. Why the continued hate? It seems some analysts are allergic to acknowledging pure, sustained success. The truth is, these players use every piece of criticism as fuel. They thrive when the pressure is at its maximum. They are not tuning out the noise, they are weaponizing it. The cost of poor judgment sometimes, the off-field stories are just as explosive as the on-field action. We have seen players essentially throw their careers away due to monumental lapses in judgment. Take the recent legal saga involving a highly touted cornerback who, instead of trusting the legal process after a dispute, decided to take the law into his own hands. The details are straight out of a thriller. Armed confrontations, accusations of theft, and a potential life-altering prison sentence. It is a stark reminder that talent is only one part of the equation. If you cannot maintain the professional standard required to stay on the field, the draft capital spent to acquire you becomes worthless. There's a sense that other organizations dodged a massive bullet by passing on such players. When you see a team look at two potential targets and choose the one with a higher character and professional trajectory, it's a win that doesn't show up on the stat sheet but pays dividends in the locker room. The discipline shown by management in these moments is what separates the perennial contenders from the teams that are constantly rebuilding. The offensive line conundrum we need to address the trenches. There's a lot of noise about offensive line rankings, especially when outlets start putting teams in the top 2 or 3 spots before the pads even come on. It is dangerous. Rankings are just speculation, and relying on them is like drinking poison. We saw a specific guard last year who posted decent numbers, grading out well in both run and pass blocking. But there is still a massive difference between being solid and being dominant. The move to shift players around, asking them to play different positions or serve as backups in case of emergency, is a common strategy, but it's risky. If a player is moved from tackle to guard, it isn't always a sign of growth. Sometimes it's a desperate attempt to salvage a draft pick. The reality for many of these players is that this upcoming season is their last chance to prove they belong. If they fail to lock down their spot, they won't just be benched, they will be replaced. Why context matters ultimately. The NFL is a league of cycles. We see the same patterns. The overhyped draft pick, the veteran quarterback who is declining, and the front office that is either too soft or too cold. The reality is usually somewhere in the middle. Teams are not looking to trade their core pieces, but they're also not going to hand out blank checks until they are absolutely certain of the return on investment. This is why we see the delay in contracts. It isn't always about it's about level. Smith. It is about understanding monitoring the injury status of your stars and waiting for the right moment to strike. This is the business side of the game that often gets lost in the excitement of the highlights. It is cold, it is calculating, and it is entirely necessary for long-term success. As we head into the thick of the summer, watch these contract negotiations closely. Watch the depth charts. The teams that handle these delicate situations with the most precision are the ones that will be standing at the end of the season. It's easy to call for a coach's head or demand a player be cut when things get tough, but the best organizations are the ones that stay the course while maintaining the discipline to cut bait when a player no longer fits the vision. The next few weeks will tell us everything we need to know about who is truly ready to compete and who is just hoping for the best. Stay tuned, because the drama is only just beginning.